Bay Area housing market is very weird right now, and the most common question that I am receiving at this time is, Danny, should I sell my home right now? Is it a good idea for me to sell my house? And the answer is, it depends. For some sellers, selling could be a smart strategic move, while for others, it might be better for you to hold off. And in this video, I'm going to be going over the exact scenarios in which I would recommend sellers hold off, and in which scenarios I would recommend that a seller go for it. For those of you who are new to the channel, my name is Danny Gould. I'm a local realtor and hotel investor. And over the last decade, I've sold over $250 million worth of residential real estate here in the Bay Area. And I've overseen well over 250 transactions. And in that time, I have not seen a market as weird as this one. And there are so many reasons why the market is behaving the way that it's behaving. And I'm not going to go into that in this video. If you're interested in hearing my thoughts on the evolving situation here with the Bay Area housing market, you should subscribe to this channel, hit the notification bell so that you get notified every time I post my monthly Silicon Valley snapshot. But because the market has been behaving so erratically and so inconsistently, it stands to reason that for a lot of home sellers, it may not be advisable for you to actually be listing and selling your home right now. And I'm going to be going over into some of the scenarios in which it makes sense to still sell and in which scenarios it might make sense for you to hold off. Let's start with the scenario in which it would actually make sense for you to still sell in this market. If you are what we refer to in this industry as a move-up buyer, it might still make sense for you to make your move. What is a move-up buyer? Well, it's someone who's selling a smaller property, say like a small condo, a townhome, or maybe even a small single-family home, and you're making that next step, right? You're buying maybe the dream home, the forever home, or you're buying a bigger house because your family's expanding. In a lot of neighborhoods here in the Bay Area, we're actually in a declining market, meaning prices are flatlining or they're going down just a little bit. In a depreciating market, the delta between your property and the property that you're trying to buy is actually shrinking. And if it's not shrinking, then that delta is not growing at the same pace that it would be if we were in an appreciating market. In an up market, single families tend to appreciate a lot faster than condos and townhomes. And in a depreciating market, we sometimes see that delta start to shrink a little bit. Entry-level housing always has its place here in the Bay Area. There's always going to be a market for those smaller houses. And so we tend to see that section or that sector of the market stay fairly healthy even in a market like we're in right now. Some of those bigger houses can take a little bit longer to sell. And so if you're making that next step up, you might be in a situation where you could get a much better deal right now. Also keep in mind that for every down cycle, we're also going to have an appreciating cycle. So when that next cycle starts, you've already locked in a single family home. You're going to be able to ride that entire appreciation cycle all the way up. And that single family is going to appreciate a whole hell of a lot faster than the condo or the townhome that you're currently in. Not only that, but the realities of this current market mean that a lot of sellers are more negotiable right now, meaning if you want to buy that house, but you need to sell your current home, you might be able to get away with something like a contingent offer, meaning that you are buying that home contingent on the sale of your current property. Now, this isn't always the case. This is a very general piece of advice, but there are certain situations in which you would be able to get away with that, and you would never have been able to get away with that in a market like 2021, or even in last year's market or the year before. We were in a completely different situation. And so right now, there's more flexibility in the marketplace. Now, obviously, a massive mental hurdle to get over is the fact that you're likely going to be selling a home with a really low rate, and then you're going to be buying a house with a much bigger rate, right? The reality is that once the rates come down to a level that is comfortable, right? Not only will it be comfortable for you, it will be comfortable for a whole slew of other people, and the market is going to turn back up again. And so you're really not saving any money by waiting if you are in that situation. Now, on the flip side, let's talk about a situation in which it doesn't make sense to sell right now. If you are tied to a certain price, meaning you saw a home that was sold in your neighborhood 3 years ago, and you want to either match or exceed that price, and that's the price that you need in order to get out of here. Or maybe you're even looking at the market and you're saying, I want even more than homes were selling for 2 to 3 years ago. At this point, it doesn't make sense to sell. You might get a few agents to come to your house and convince you that they're the ones, they're the Houdinis, the magicians that are going to be able to help you sell your house for the highest possible price. I can assure you that right now in this market, no records are being broken. The inventory levels are too high, there's too much competition, and you might be able to get close to a record if you've got the best home on the best street with the best schools and the golden toilets, but those are very few and far between, and you're still not setting any records at this point in time. All right, so now let's talk about another scenario in which it might make sense for you to sell stuff. If you need to relocate or move out of the area for any specific reason, and you're really not trying to time the top, then in a lot of cases, it still might make sense for you to sell. We are certainly not in a situation where homes are not selling. In many markets, we're still seeing homes sell within 7 to 14 to 21 days of being put on the market. Just the appetite isn't quite where it used to be. Instead of a home getting 5 offers, maybe we're only getting 1 or 2. But homes are still selling, they're still moving. And so if you have to move, if you need to relocate and you gotta get out of Dodge for whatever reason, it's still advisable in a lot of cases for you to sell. Now, there are some exceptions. There have been some sellers that I've met with where, after reviewing the data and going over the numbers and seeing what's going on in the neighborhood, it's like, hey, listen, putting your home on the market right now would be an exercise in futility unless you're willing to significantly underprice the house, in which case it really doesn't make sense, because for a lot of these sellers, holding on to the property for 1 year, potentially renting it out, the loss on that is going to be nominal, whereas the gain is going to be astronomical. And so there are some situations in which it doesn't make sense. But for the most part, if you're heading out of the area, if you're moving out of town, especially if your employer's paying for some of your moving expenses, you can likely get your home sold in a decent amount of time for a very good price. It's just not going to be top of market, and that's the difference. Now, by that same token, if you are a seller who is sitting on a unique property, meaning you've got a home that's like one of one. Perhaps it's a luxury estate or a home that really stands out in your neighborhood. Maybe you've got the A+ property in the A+ neighborhood with the A+ schools and the golden toilets. Well, guess what? You could probably still sell and get a really great price. I don't know that you would beat any records, right? You're not going to set records in the neighborhood, but you're still going to sell, you're still going to get a great price, and you can still move on to that next chapter of your life, whatever it's going to be. Now, on the flip side, if you just have an average home, right? It's the run-of-the-mill cookie cutter home on the block, and there's really nothing unique about it, and you're not in a rush to sell, and there's no real impetus or life event that's happening that's causing you to sell. Well, in most cases, it would probably be advisable for you to hold off right now. Now, it's not a universal truth, but for the most part, if you are not in a rush, there's no life event that's moving you, and you don't really have a unique property, or the home doesn't really stand out in any way, then it probably is advisable for you to hold off on selling at this point. And that comes right now in May of 2025, June of 2025. That's when this video is being shot. And for a lot of homeowners right now, there's so much uncertainty in the marketplace, and there's so much going on right now that there are many cases in which if you're really not in a rush and there's no life event that's moving you, it would probably be advisable for you to hold off at this moment. Now, keep in mind, when things change, they change quickly. So make sure, if you're not already subscribed, to hit the subscribe button, click the notification bell to get notified every single time I post a new video, just like this one. I will post a follow-up once we are out of this mess, and it's like, yeah, if you're a seller and you're in the Bay Area, you're sitting on a pot of gold, because really from 2016, 17 to 2022, right before the rates went up, you were sitting on a pot of gold, and you could throw your home on the market, and in 7 days it would sell multiple offers, hundreds of thousands of dollars over asking price, and that day could come again. And not saying that it will, but it very well could come again. And when there are significant changes in market, you can count on me to deliver that news to you right away. Now, after watching this video, if you're still convinced that you're in that bucket of sellers that should still sell their home right now, and you're looking for a comprehensive pricing strategy analysis, because right now, guys, the most important, the most critical thing, even more than marketing the property, truthfully, is making sure that your pricing strategy is on point. Pricing strategy matters now more than ever. It's the difference between selling your home in 7 to 14 days with multiple offers and sitting on the market for 2 to 3 months. Pricing strategy is imperative, it's important, and if you're looking for a custom pricing analysis, text the words "price my property" to the number down below. That's "price my property" to the number down below. I will be reaching out to you with a custom pricing analysis of your property. This is Danny Gould, everyone. I'm selling Silicon Valley, and I will catch all of you in the next video.